As the Packers get ready to come off of their bye week, we're all hoping that they are healthy and ready to play the Broncos. We'll preview the matchup with you and take an early look at how you all think Jordan Love might be doing so far. It's all on this edition of your Packers Fan Podcast.
What's happening, PFP listeners? I'm Scott Clark from the Gaming Outsider Podcast, and I was totally thankful for the bye week this week, not just for football reasons, but also personal reasons. I had a very busy weekend, to say the least, but I'm ready to get back into action with Packers football, and I'm hoping it's good news this week because we desperately need it.
Indeed. Wayne Henderson, glad to be back with you as well. That was a very restorative bye week, at least for me. And with that, this is episode 281 of the Packers Fan Podcast. Like we mentioned at the top, we're going to be previewing next Sunday's Packers at Broncos game.
I also will have my keys to a Packers victory, and we're going to be taking a look at how we and the PFP community are feeling about Jordan Love at this point. So that was a topic submitted by one of our listeners, and I'm looking forward to talking about that.
Well, with that in mind, Scott, let's talk about that right now. And kicking it all off, our weekly poll question talks about that. We posted it in our Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com as well as on X at PackersFanPod. How are we feeling about Jordan Love? And it was David Newman who suggested this topic for the bye week. Thanks again for that, David. The options are, I'm willing to give Jordan more time, or I'm a bit concerned. Jordan Love is doing as well as I expected him to, or very disappointed so far. What do you think, Scott? Just we'll dig into more details in a little bit, but on the surface.
I mean, it's hard to pick one because I kind of have a write-in vote for myself, which is he's doing better than expected. I did not expect him to do as well as he's doing. And I know he's had some issues, but yeah, he's kind of surpassed my expectations. But if I had to pick one of these, I would go with I'm willing to give him more time. We're only 5 weeks in. I don't expect him to be a top-tier quarterback, not even halfway through his first full season as a Packer, as a starting quarterback. So yeah, he definitely needs some more time, and I'm willing to wait for it. He's doing as well as Aaron Rodgers did in his first 5 weeks. So I'm okay with it. Let's wait.
And I'm definitely thinking he's doing as well as I expected him to. Granted, we're not undefeated, but I don't really expect that in these topsy-turvy seasons. The votes that came in after you combined Facebook and X, 54% were with you, Scott. I'm willing to give him more time. 21% said, I'm a bit concerned. 18% says Jordan is doing as well as I expected him to. 7% said very disappointed so far, and almost all of those votes were on X that you used to call Twitter. So take that with that grain of salt.
Yeah, Twitter is a crazy place for more than one reason. But yeah, I don't understand the very disappointed. I guess it's fair to say that you're disappointed because he's not Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre yet, but he can't be. You can't expect that right out the gate. So I don't think that's really a unfair want, especially after we've had 30 years of stellar quarterbacks for the Green Bay Packers. Our time is due to have a not top tier quarterback. I think he has the potential to be a top tier quarterback, but it's way too early. It's just way too early. We had some comments on the poll too, and this first one, I actually agree with a great deal. It comes from Aaron Peterson. He says, I'm concerned about his deep ball, but everything else I'm good with. And I got to agree. Just because he's not throwing those super long passes as consistently as we're used to seeing from Aaron Rodgers, everything else I'm really happy with. He's a fundamental quarterback. He scrambles well. He does well behind the pocket. He makes some rookie mistakes. Wasn't there a backwards pass he did a couple weeks ago, or it was like not a flea flicker, but it was like a trick play? Why are we doing trick plays with a brand new quarterback? That's a whole other story. But he's solid in terms of what you want a quarterback to do, especially this early.
And granted, I can't wait for him to be fantastic with the deep ball as well and on target all the time. But let me just say, did you watch any of the other NFL games this season of even more seasoned quarterbacks? There was a lot of long balls that were not on target by all sorts of levels of professional quarterbacking.
Yeah, it sure feels like we are leaning more towards going to a running league more than a passing league, which, I'm kind of okay with. I think it's more fun to watch the power running or the 1,000 cuts method, just little by little move the chains kind of football instead of just always every play's a score. This isn't college ball. I don't know. I like the hard fought games. So we had another comment from Garrett Stritzel. He said, too many injuries and rookie inexperienced players to make any judgment calls yet. The coaches haven't helped either with bad preparation and play calls. I think that's an interesting point. Are the issues that we're having players, or are the issues coaching? That's kind of a difficult thing to really pinpoint, because it's more likely a mix of a little bit of everything. But there's been some questionable things happening on the coaching side for sure. I'm more concerned with the coaches than I am the players, because I think the players are solid. They're just not being managed quite as well as we're used to. And last one says, watch QB School by J.T. O'Sullivan. Oh, this is still Garrett Stritzel's comment. Watch QB School by J.T. O'Sullivan, and he explains what Love's ceiling is and what we should expect. Very informative. I will have to check that out. I'm assuming that's a YouTube channel or a series on one of the streaming channels. I'm going to have to look that up. I'm not familiar with it.
I'm not familiar with it either, but I definitely need to check that out, because it sounds like they're able to explain it in a way that we may not have thought of just yet. So excellent points as well, Garrett. And for myself, I think, again, he's doing as well as could be expected, especially when you take into account that David Bakhtiari, he played one game, maybe a half a game.
Yeah.
And then we also had another lineman,
Jenkins.
Elton Jenkins, out for most of the season so far, but I believe he's back now. And Aaron Jones played about a game, maybe a game and a half. So really, I think that Jordan Love, considering he's been playing with one hand tied behind his back, has been doing a very solid job indeed with all of these curveballs thrown his way. And even Aaron Rodgers spoke up on the whole thing, because he must have noticed a lot of the chatter on Twitter/X, because that's where things get really heated. And Aaron Rodgers has a message for Packers fans still. He says, take some deep breaths and trust this kid. So to me, that's kind of like an RELAX version 2. Calm down, trust the process, and wait and see what happens.
It's also interesting coming from a guy that is no longer, tutoring this kid,
right?
He's on a completely different team. He's a competitor at this point. I mean, we're not playing the Jets this season, but at least not right now. Maybe in the playoffs.
Maybe in the Super Bowl.
Or the Super
if
Bowl,
Aaron
rather.
Rodgers comes back from a record-setting quick recovery and Jordan Love pulls it all together, anything's possible.
Yeah, I do like that though. So it's cool to see Rodgers do something that I am not getting angry about.
Yes.
on social media. So I guess kudos to Mr. Rodgers.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to move on to some listener feedback. As always, each week we get some listener comments from you guys. If you'd like to be part of our upcoming podcast episodes, you can either call in to the PFP voicemail at +1 920 3PACK-GO, or you can also record your voice and email the recording to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com. The deadline for those calls is Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We do appreciate that. I really like the pre-recorded ones as well. It makes it a lot easier to hear on the show. And speaking of, I think we've got just one voicemail this week. Is that correct, Wayne?
This is true, Scott. Dan Dialer, we're going to play him in just a second, but he wanted to weigh in on the Jordan Love discussion and do it in audio form because he had a lot of good stuff to say, and then give us a little tidbits about next week's game against the Broncos. Take it away, Dan Dialer. Are you there? Dan, are you there?
Go, 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 Pack, go. Hey, great job, David Newman, with coming up with this bye-week topic of discussion. How do we feel about Jordan Love? For me, I'm willing to give him some more time, but he's on a very short leash. But my biggest concern is the coaching and their play calling, which has been absolutely, in my opinion, horrendous the last few weeks, about three weeks in particular. Garrett Stritzel recommended a really good video on YouTube called Quarterback School by J.T. O'Sullivan. And he breaks down every single pass play that Jordan Love made during the Raiders game. And I'm pretty sure he probably does it for other games. but he was very specific in the things that he said, and the things that I saw matched up with what he saw. I just don't have the technical knowledge to articulate those things. Looking at the poll, I'm shocked that so many are willing to give more time to Jordan Love. That's the epitome of Midwest nice. I think the talent is there, but the coaches really are not putting the players in the best one-on-one matchups. I have seen too many plays this year so far that have had the wide receivers, they have had multiple wide receivers in the same level or in the same location at the same time, which that allows the defense to spread itself out more, because you can have one defender covering two people because the two wide receivers are so close together. There's been very conservative play calling as of late. We went from home run ball to not using the deep ball at all. Love has been very inaccurate on deep throws, and that may be why they're not doing the deep throws anymore. But they got to figure out why has he been so inaccurate down the field, beyond 15 to 20 yards? Does he have too much adrenaline? Can he not handle being rushed at? Because I know his offensive line is super banged up, obviously. And is he getting pressured? And does that play into his decision-making ability? But at the end of the day, Love's lack of experience cannot be an excuse anymore. He has had 3 years to learn Matt LaFleur's system and the NFL grind. He has had extensive work with the starters last season, dating back to Week 5 when Rodgers broke his finger on the last play versus the Giants in London. If memory serves me right, Rodgers didn't even participate in a padded practice the rest of the year, meaning Jordan Love was practicing with the ones for the majority of the season last year. And obviously he's been practicing with them dating back all the way to the OTAs beginning this year, back in March or April. It's time to stop being Midwest nice and hold each other and hold number 10 accountable, hold the coaching staff accountable for their lack of preparedness. I will give no leeway for the youth. This is the youngest team in the NFL at 25 years of age. But guess what? The Bengals, who have been to the Super Bowl and two or three AFC championships in the last 3 years, their average age is 25.4. The reigning Super Bowl champion Chiefs, 25.5. Super Bowl contender Lions, 25.7. Super Bowl contender Dolphins, 25.7. The San Francisco 49ers average age of player, 26.1. It's time to stop using that as an excuse and hold the team accountable. Now going on to Denver. I honestly was on the fence about the season as far as our chances to make the postseason. I still hold out hope. I always will hold up hope, because green and gold till dead and cold, and as Megan said, loyal to the soil. I love that. We don't know what the future is, but in this league, as we saw yesterday with the two juggernauts of the NFC, the last remaining undefeated teams went down to teams who on paper were inferior. The 49ers got beat by the Browns, and the Eagles got beat by the Jets and a backup quarterback. Like I said, it's any given Sunday, I guess, or Monday or Thursday, or, later on the season and Saturday. But anyways, looking forward to this game. The Denver Broncos have the worst defense by far, which bodes well for us. If this isn't a get-right game like I thought the Raiders game was, I don't know what a get-right game is going to be. If the Packers do not win this game, I may turn into a bear and go hibernate. Not a Chicago Bear, because that would be terrible. But yes, I'm predicting a Packers win, 31, Broncos 17. Go, 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 Pack, go! Boom, shalaka-laka!
I did not realize he was still going. There's a lot to unpack in that voicemail for sure. He got me a little nervous there for a minute. I thought he was switching sides.
No.
Said he wanted to hibernate for a minute. What happened to green and gold till I'm dead and cold? But yeah, wow, he sounds really fired up about Jordan Love. I agree, that I've got more issues with the coaching and play calling, but man, I just don't know if I can get behind this, like having these super high expectations. I know he's had experience, under Aaron Rodgers. but he's got so much pressure on him. Especially that first game where they're playing the Bears. So there's been lots of expectations on him, lots of eyes on him. And the last 2 games, by the way, were night games, right? Wasn't the Raiders game a Thursday night game? And the one before that was a Sunday night game?
Thursday night and then a Monday night.
Monday night, excuse me.
Interesting point.
So there's lots and lots of eyes on him. This is not going to be a night game. This is going to be a regular old Sunday game. And I think that with the pressure, that kind of pressure off of him, and he's got a little bit more to prove. I think it'll be a good game. But there's a lot here. I don't want to be the only one talking here. How do you feel about it?
Well, I wonder, are you just being Midwest nice?
I don't know. I am from the Midwest, but I feel like you're more Midwest nice than I am.
That's a solid point. Solid point. Well, I really enjoyed the call, Dan, and also the comparison of everybody always talking about us, the youngest team in the NFL, 25 years of age average. I did not know that the Bengals are right there next to us, 25.4, and the Chiefs, 25.5. So with those interesting comparisons and the other teams as well, I don't think that can necessarily be an excuse. Right? We are young, but I think it's more of a case of the coaching, the injuries, and I'm starting to chime in with the rest of you, the play calling. If that doesn't turn around when we play the Broncos this week, and then the following week when we're finally back at Lambeau and the Vikings come to town, we had better see some much improved play calling. I got to tell you. And as far as why Love might be not very accurate on the deep throws, could it be the adrenaline? Could it be just being skittish because our O-line is patchwork in progress? I'm not sure, but that's something to look at. I
mean, I think, with as banged up as the offensive line is doing, he's got plenty of time back there, man. I know he was, what was it, the last week? It was 3 or 4 times he was sacked, so that's a different story. But the other games previous to that, he's had plenty of time back there. I don't think it's a pressure situation in terms of the defense coming after him. I mean, they clearly are. And I just want to be clear too, the team being young, at least for me, is not an excuse as much as it's what we expected. You know what I mean? I know he's not a rookie quarterback. He's been behind Aaron Rodgers for quite a while, but this is what I expected him to do. I mean, he's actually exceeding my expectations in terms of how crisp he's looking and how well he's moving behind the pocket. So I don't mean to make it sound like I'm saying, oh, they're a young team. It's fine. They're young. No, they are young. But, it takes more than just Jordan Love to make a good football team. And that includes the other players. That includes the coaching. That includes supportive fans. There's so many moving factors. And it always bugs me when we put everything on the shoulders of one player. That is at the head for sure. But there's lots and lots of moving parts. And Jordan Love can't do it all on his own.
But speaking of Aaron, I think if Aaron Jones is healthy enough to play, which I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be, I think just having Aaron Jones back and healthy should make almost all the difference in the world.
I agree, and I will be touching on that in my Keys to a Packers Victory coming up shortly.
What a tease. So thank you very much, Dan Dyler, for your call and everybody for your feedback. There's a lot of other great conversations happening in the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook group right now. Check them all out. Join in. And after the Broncos game, be sure to let us know your comments, send emails, calls, anything you got, because that's a big part of the Packers Fan Podcast. And I'm going to thank you in advance because I know it's going to happen.
And remember to be part of the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community and be part of that conversation at packerscommunity.com.
Well, let's go ahead and preview the game because the Packers are going to finally be back on the field next week. Your 2-3 Green Bay Packers. We're going to stay in the AFC West and play the 1-5 Denver Broncos Sunday, October 22nd at 3:25 p.m. Central Time. Green Bay in this all-time series with the Broncos were tied. 7 wins, 7 losses, and 1 tie. There's always got to be one of those in there somewhere. Not many particular memories between these two teams, except for that one nightmare on January 25th, 1998, where we don't want to necessarily talk about it because much like Smokey Robinson sang at halftime, that loss is full of the tracks of my tears. However,
that game has some significance for me too. I don't know if I've told you this story before, but that I watched that game at home. I remember specifically, I had a major crush on a girl in my class at school. I think I was, 96? I was 16, 17 years old.
You were still in school? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was in high school, and this girl I had a major crush on came over and watched the game with me and my family, that Super Bowl, and I was on cloud nine up until the final minutes. So that game definitely sticks out for me.
It sticks out for me too in a different way, in that after we finally, made it to the Super Bowl the previous year, we beat the Patriots, we were unstoppable, and then we started the next season still as a machine. And I admit that I didn't just have green and gold rose-colored glasses on. I was overconfident. I thought, and apparently so were the Packers, I thought there is absolutely no way, it's impossible for us to lose this game. Mm-hmm. And when time ran out and the Broncos had more points than we did, I was absolutely just in disbelief. I was shocked. I was frustrated. I had to really just think about it like, well, I guess maybe they're not invincible. Rough day indeed. I was not in school. But what I would like to see, though, is a repeat of the score from the Packers-Broncos game on December 8th, 1996, when we won 41-6. Mm-hmm. Just saying. That's what I'd like to see. It may not be what I get to see, but it's what I'd like to see.
Absolutely. And I thought this was an interesting point, too, because this just kind of shows how often we don't play the Broncos. I mean, Wayne, you already told us that we've played 15 games together.
Right.
But, there's not going to be massive streaks if you've only played that many games together. But the longest streak between these two teams is 3 games.
Woo!
The Packers won 3 games in a row. The first game was played December 28th, 2023, and that lasted until October 2nd, 2011. So the only 3 times they played between 2003 and 2011 is kind of nuts. So, yeah, it's been a while for sure.
That is a little bit wacky. Well, we're finally going to be outside. There's going to be weather. Well, kind of. The Sunday afternoon's weather in Denver is forecast to be partly cloudy, high around 70 degrees. Even in Denver, that's about 21 degrees Celsius. There is a chance of rain overnight that night, so if the storm does happen to arrive early, that could affect the game. But one way or another, this tie will be broken unless the game ends in a tie and we're 7-2.
I don't remember the last time I saw a game that ended in a tie, legitimately. Like it just seems so rare. But like one that I was actually watching. I've seen highlights. You know what I mean?
Enough,
but like I'm sitting watching a game.
There's been ties. What do we have to do to get back on the winning side of things and make this a make-right game and beat the Broncos?
Well, I've got 3 keys as usual, and the first one should be quite obvious, and it is to exploit the defense. The Broncos, as Dan mentioned, do have the worst defense in the league by a long shot, and not just because of what happened against Miami. There hasn't been an opportunity this good to see what the offense can do, and the Packers should definitely take advantage of this, but not with the deep balls. Like I always say, fundamental football. Move those chains 10 yards at a time to wear them down. I think the time of possession should really be the name of the game, and if they do that, it should be an easy win for them. And the way to get time of possession is to run the ball. Run the ball. Wear them down, and then use that opportunity to score. Second strategy, 2 words, Aaron Jones. He's clearly been missed over the past 2 weeks. I will say Dillon had a stellar performance, but if Jones is healthy, it's time to roll all over the Broncos defense with the running game. Having that 1-2 punch of Jones and Dillon again will be the shot that they need to kick things back in gear this week. And if the stars align and that happens, the Green Bay offense could just walk all over Denver. Wouldn't it be great to bring a beatdown even bigger than what Miami did?
Yes.
I would love to see that happen. If Miami can do it, we can do it. And lastly, I think that the Packers should focus on the Broncos' running game over the passing game. Russell Wilson is whatever at this point. This is an offense that simply hasn't been able to click with the pass game, and I don't see that being remedied against the Packers secondary, especially if Stokes and Savage are back in the mix. The defense should expect more running and focus on containing that, as it's probably their only chance at scoring more points by the time the clock reaches 0. If they can do that, it should be an easy win for the green and gold.
Wow. Thank you very much, Scott. Great keys to victory. I will tweak one thing just a little bit to make it an even easier win. Let's not just move the chains 10 yards at a time. Let's make sure we go at least 11, because then every play can be a first down.
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that. Yes.
Moving on to our 2023 season wager o' fun. We did not have a game to recap last week because of the bye that Wayne mentioned. So the standings between Wayne and I still are the same as they were last week. Wayne has 1 point and I have 2 points. So I still got the lead. Hopefully I can hang on to that. David Newman is the sole person with any wins this season from the listeners. He has 3 wins so far. So good luck, guys. You got some catching up to do, but lots of football back here.
That's exactly why we have the bye week, is so that people can refocus, channel their energies and insights, and maybe turn this thing around. It's still anybody's game, including me.
Yeah. I'm going to go with my prediction being a Packers win. Clearly, if you heard my keys to victory, I think it's pretty confident that the Packers will win this week. Hey, stranger things have happened any given Sunday and all that. But I think the Packers are going to roll in terms of scoring, especially if Aaron Jones is back. I still think it's only going to be a touchdown difference. I'm not going to say we're going to blow them away like Miami did. So I'm going to say Packers 28, Broncos 21. And what say you, Wayne?
Although I would like to call for a blowout, I'm not there just yet. We are going to win 24-20.
Interesting. I outscored the Packers on the prediction over you. That's strange.
That is very strange, because you were probably ready to open up the show prep document. Oh, Wayne's going to pick 51-2 or something,
Probably. Well, let's hear the listeners' picks for Week 5 of the Packers Fan Podcast Wager of Fun. Jay Walters says Green Bay's going to win 23-17. Actually, everybody's picked Green Bay to win. I did not see a single person that picked Denver, and why would you? I hope I don't eat my words at this point, but Jay Walters 23-17, Garrett Stritzel 28-17, Travis Baker says that Green Bay is going to win 28-0.
Yeah,
man, that'd be amazing. Brett Connor says Green Bay 21, Denver 17, and Jacob Searles says Green Bay is going to win 31-17.
Interesting. That's the same score Dan Dyler called in with, 31-17 Packers. And David Newman, who's currently in the lead of the listeners and everybody really, he's calling for Green Bay 21, Denver 13. So let's see how that all shakes out on Sunday afternoon. While the Packers were away, healing up on their bye week, the other teams in the division did play. The Lions won again. They are now 5-1, which is basically tied for the best record in all of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Did not see that coming. The Packers are
Really?
2-3. The Vikings are 2-4, but since they have 4 losses and we only have 3, we're ahead of them. Thank you very much. And the Bears, 1-5. Whoa.
Yeah.
What's the word? Wooshka? No. Oofta.
Oofta. Definitely a Midwest thing. And Justin Fields actually hurt his hand with the Bears, so he's not going to be playing next week. Hurt his right thumb, I believe.
Ouch. You need that thumb.
You really do if you're throwing a football. But, man, I don't really feel sorry for the Bears, but they just cannot win when it comes to quarterbacks in that franchise. It's just kind of crazy. But some other happenings in the NFL. I wanted to talk to you about this, Wayne, because I read this week, and I have feelings. Have you heard about the stuff with Tyreek Hill? He was fined over $10,000 for taunting because he put up a peace sign towards a player after catching a pass and running at 69 yards for a score. He also routinely gets fined for uniform issues, mostly because he doesn't wear socks when he plays. Number one, why would you not wear socks? I just couldn't imagine. It just makes me cringe thinking of even walking around without socks on, much less playing a football game without socks. Sounds miserable,
especially wearing cleats.
Yeah.
He's just trying to be comfortable. I'm surprised he's not out there with some sort of modified Crocs that have spikes on the bottom. But I heard that he got fined. I didn't know it was for that. I thought it was because after he scored the touchdown, one of the people on the sidelines loaned him his cell phone so he could take a selfie while he did his backflip. But
I saw something about that as well too. Which, why is that? Did he got fined for that? I don't get it. Where do you draw the line on celebration and taunting? I mean, throwing up 2 fingers for a peace sign, like peace, deuces, see you later. Like,
yeah,
I don't consider that taunting. I don't know.
Yeah, not quite taunting. I mean, come on, NFL. Let them have a little bit of fun. I understand, wanting to wear the proper uniform because I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, Scott. Why
it's
not
a safety
wear socks?
issue?
But at the same time, even though I'm not a fan of the Cowboys, and I'm definitely not a fan of the 49ers. The shenanigans that Terrell Owens used to do, I give him props. Those are funny. The whole popcorn thing, the hiding the Sharpie in his sock and autographing the football right after the touchdown. That's kind of the same vein, and I just think it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I kind of enjoy that stuff. I don't want the excessive celebrations, and to me, like, I'm okay more with a peace sign than I am all this choreographed stuff that they do in the end zone where like the team all gathers together and they do a river dance like in basketball. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, Wayne. That stuff bugs me more. It's not really taunting, but I mean, just throwing up a peace sign like deuces, see you later, I'm out. I think that's funny. I don't know. We can't hurt feelings anymore.
Right. And kind of in that same vein, I'm not a big fan of when one defensive player does a great play, like an interception or something, and the whole defense runs down to the end zone to mug for the camera. It's just not my thing. But
right. Can we see that video of him doing a backflip while holding a cell phone? I want to see what that video looks like.
Right, the video from the cell phone.
Yeah. I want to see.
I have a feeling he forgot to hit record because he was busy.
Maybe.
But he was holding the cell phone. And kind of speaking of the 49ers, the Browns wearing all white for whatever reason, and with a backup quarterback, knocked the overconfident 49ers out of the list of the undefeated. And, Dan Dowler mentioned it earlier. Later in the day, the Jets somehow beat the undefeated Eagles with their quarterback, who's kind of a backup because they expected to have Aaron Rodgers, but he's not really a backup like the backup of the Browns. But like you said, any game, any Sunday, you got to keep your head on a swivel. But the Browns wearing all white, including all white helmets, it was weird. But they won and beat the 49ers, and it made me happy. So there's that.
Yeah, for sure. And also, did you see the Buccaneers were playing in their old uniforms, the creamsicle orange uniforms?
Love those. I
do
love
too,
that,
man.
especially the helmet.
Seriously, I actually like that logo way better than the flag with a pirate thing on it. I don't know.
I would just wish they could have won that game, but
yeah, I'm with you. But that was kind of cool to see. Someone had posted on Twitter a picture of the stadium because they did the whole stadium that way too. And the caption was, "I woke up and it was the 1970s," and I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of cool." I like that. So,
yeah, that was back when, like, the Buccaneers' first year and a half in the league, 76 into 77. I think they didn't win a single game for at least a year and a half. Those were rough times.
I do want to tell everybody about my other podcast, The Gaming Outsider. We do release new episodes every Wednesday, or I should say most Wednesdays, because this week we actually took the week off. The first time we've taken the week off in 10 years of doing the podcast. Because quite frankly, we are all exhausted from hosting our second video game convention this past weekend. It was so much fun, very successful, but it was also very, very tiring. Just simply did not have time to put together a format and an episode, especially because a lot of our team is all over the place. Zach is from Portland. He's actually in town, and since he's in town, he had to spend time with family, and we just decided to take a break. So I don't have a new episode to tell you about, but you can check out our last one, and we'll be having a new one next week. Our website is thegamingoutsider.com, but you can also check out the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, as including the same places you listen to this one.
And in addition to the regular topics next week when you do record, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of great information about R2V2 and how it all went and everything, because I saw some of the pictures you were posting. I guess the voice of Duke Nukem that was there, he performed a wedding while he was at your con.
He did.
How does that even happen?
Well, he posts on social media quite a bit and said that he was going to be in Rockford. And somebody reached out to him and asked him, they were getting married that day, and asked him if he would marry them because he is an ordained minister.
Oh, I did not know that. I thought if you're a voice actor for successful video games, that just gave you certain privileges.
No. He actually is an ordained minister, so he married him, and it was pretty cool. And it worked out well because the news actually showed up to film the event. And so one of my buddies says, like, Scott, you got to come over here now, hurry. I rush over, and all of a sudden there's a camera there, and I was like, oh, are you here for the wedding? And he goes, what wedding? I didn't know it was the news. And
I thought it was a video game convention. I'm confused.
Yeah. So next thing I know, I'm doing an interview for the local news, and so that was helpful, but it was kind of cool. So there you go. Again, thegamingoutsider.com, and be sure to check out our Facebook group and all that because there's some awesome pictures. That it was an incredible event. We had 300 paid attendees.
Excellent,
which was great. So yeah.
Oh, yes. We want to thank you so very much for giving back to your Packers Fan Podcast via Patreon. We really appreciate it. Details on how you can become a patron, as well as all the other ways to give back to the show, they're at packersfanpodcast.com/give back. One of the other ways you can give back is by just a one-time option. If you prefer not to subscribe to a monthly cost or anything like that, you can buy Scott and I a bratwurst, or you can buy us each a bratwurst so we don't have to share across state lines. You can gift us a virtual brat or two, or even a dozen. We enjoy a good brat, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just head on over to packersfanpodcast.com/brat. We'll take care of converting the virtual coffees into virtual bratwursts. And thank you, and yum, 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 and go Pack Go. And as is tradition, special thank yous to our Patreon supporters. Dan Dyler, thank you. Go Pack Go. All of your Jim Ringo level support has really helped us out, especially during these past few years with COVID and all that nonsense. Thank you so very much. And Jay Walters, Go Pack Go, and thank you for supporting the show at the Rogers 12 level. You rock.
Also, thank yous and Go Pack goes to our legendary Brett Favre level supporters, Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast, Colin Nolan from Ireland, also Curly Lambeau level Go Pack goes and thank yous to Joe Christensen, Hank Davis from the TPE network of podcast as well. If you would also like to give back to the show, maybe even become a patron of the Packers Fan Podcast, please check out all the details at packersfanpodcast.com/give back. As a reminder, we are the unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not yet affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers. But please do follow the Packers Fan Podcast where you listen to your podcasts. And remember to tell your friends about the Packers Fan Podcast. Thank you in advance.
Absolutely. And follow us on X. Scott likes to call it Twitter. We're at Packers Fan Pod. You can follow Scott at GoCastScott, or even follow me at Wayne Henderson. And as the Packers come back, we're heading into Denver. We got Dan Dyler to get us amped up because, like Dan alluded to earlier, this is our make right game, or get right. As long as we do things right. Take it away, Dan Dyler.
All right, this is Dan, a.k.a. Pack Sparrow, and Brett.
Coming in from Tottenham, all the way from London, England. And this is the Go Pack Go.
Go, 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 go.
Go Pack Go!